Hi everyone, back with another Driftcast JP video. It's been a while for this one. I've been hassling my mate for ages to do the rear brake shoes on his Toyota Hilux. So this is a 2014. It's the same Hilux that I did the service videos on with the front pads as well. So I'm going to show you a quick and easy way of how to do your rear pads and adjust them up, check the brake drums, all that sort of thing. So I've already got the car jacked up, so I've just got some stands underneath. So the tools you're going to need for this is a set of bull nose pliers, a set of side cutters, 12mm socket, a 12mm bolt to get your drum off if it's stuck to the hub, and a couple of flat blade screwdrivers, and generally a stubby screwdriver, and also obviously a 21mm socket on a rattle gun. So I'll whip the wheel off and then we'll get started. Now you've got your wheel off, you need to get your 12mm bolt. There's a little threaded section here on the brake drum. Wind that into there. Get your rattle gun. You can do it with a ratchet as well, but this just helps crack the drum off the actual hub. And obviously you've got to have your handbrake off as well to do this job, and best to have the car out of gear. So once you've got that, you should be able to just wiggle your drum off, lay the drum down flat on the ground. Now this is your shoes that we're going to be replacing. So when you take your drum off, just to check that your drum's okay, have a look inside the drum. Make sure there's no big scoring or anything like that on the actual surface here. Make sure that's nice and smooth, and there's no big lip here. So this part here should be fairly much the same size. Like there shouldn't be any sort of jump or gap or anything like that in there, sort of thing. This thing's in good nick. These have done 170,000 Ks, so they're in pretty good nick. It hasn't done a heap of hard work or anything by the looks of this thing. Now once you've got all this off, you might want to give it a bit of a clean. I've got a little dust broom here, we can give it a wipe down. What I might do is I'll take the shoes off first, and then we'll clean all that out after that. So to start off with, I'll just get this camera in as best as I can so you can see. So to start off with, you've got to take these little clips here off, these two clips off. You can literally just push them down and move that pin inwards like that, and then just spin them off and they'll come off. You've got to keep these, so don't throw them away. There's one on both sides. You just use your screwdriver, just push down, push the pin away, and then you can just rotate it up, and then that'll pop off. Don't worry if these fall out, if they fall out the back, because these can just come out like this. They just sit in there. They just look like a bit of a nail as such. So you can take them out just so you don't lose them. So the next thing we're going to do is going to undo the lower spring. So I'll just bring it down. This lower spring here. So get your side cutters. You just need to just bite on the spring. Don't cut the spring, just bite onto it, so you got something to grip to. They're normally under a fair bit of tension. So you get that one out, take that one out, drop it on the ground. Then you've got one more spring, which is here on your adjuster. So you need to take that spring off there as well. So you can either grab it and lift it up, lift that up, push that down, and then pull that spring out there. So you've got to remember that spring goes in from the back like that. So once you've got that off, you can lay that one down. And the next one to take off is your handbrake cable. So you come out of this side. Now here's your handbrake cable here, which sits into this part. So what you want to do is get your side cutters, put them in here, grab hold of the spring, just bite down on it, push the spring inwards, and then clamp onto the cable. And that should give you enough meat to be able to lift that cable up. Might have to go a bit more on this. Lift that cable up. Even I've got to go a bit more, a bit further in. Right, so once you get enough space there, okay, that's got the cable out there. It's a bit tight, that one to get out. Okay, so once you've got that off, I'll just move the camera back. And once you've got that off, you can literally just grab both sides here, lift it straight up out of the top, and that's how you want to pull it out, that whole piece like that, and then just lay that down on the ground. So once you've got this part off, it's a good time just to give this a bit of a clean. Try not to breathe it in. Okay, you want to grab your new pads, or your new shoes I should say, sit them in front of the old pads. So to get the next spring off, this is your adjuster. What you want to do is wind the adjuster all the way off, so you can take as much tension off the spring as possible to help get the spring off. You can do this with your hand or with pliers if it's a bit tight. So this is what adjusts your handbrake once you put the brakes back together. So wind it all the way in. Okay, so pretty much all the tension's come off there now. So you should be able to see where the spring sits here on the back. You should be able to just pop that one off now. Okay, so we'll just take that shoe, get rid of that one, take this spring off this shoe, and pull that and get rid of that one. So now you can take your other shoe, turn it over the back, sit that in, put your spring back in the hole. Now you get the other one, spin that over, line them up, and all we've got to do is just get that spring into that other shoe. If I hold that with my foot, okay, so I've got that in, it all lined up straight, over the other side. Back up. Okay, so that's that part of it done. So that's your assembly of your shoes. We'll just grab my bucket and we'll set it up, camera back up the top. Now we'll just grab your shoes. Now we're going to just wiggle them back over the top, the same way we took them out. Wiggle them in. Get them to sit. So you want to get them to sit into this groove in here first. Get that pad in there as well. That pad's in there too, and we'll worry about the top. So the top, you might have to push the pistons in on the slave cylinder just to be able to get them to sit in. Alright, so once they're sitting in there, so you want to make sure they're sitting both inside the slave cylinder. Now also, if this slave cylinder, if you see any weeping or any fluid, like if you pull this boot back on them and any sort of fluid, like it feels a bit squishy in there, you might have to replace your slave cylinders on them. Obviously depends on how many Ks your car's done too. Like this thing hasn't done a lot of Ks, so it's not needed just yet, sort of thing. So we'll get that all sat in properly. Next thing you want to do is fit your adjuster. So this is like the locking tab, so once you adjust your brakes it stops them from undoing. So that just sits in, it's got to go up underneath that slot inside there, and just locates into that pin, just like that. And there's a spring that holds that in once we get the handbrake cable on again. So we'll go back down to this side. Now this is a bit of a tricky spot, because as you go to push on this now, so what I find, you've got to kind of use your leg to get your bullnose pliers there and pull this back. Not like that. So grip on that as tight as you can. Pull that back. You might have to use your knee, right, just to get enough gap like that. So you can get that over, slide it in, and then let it go. And there's your handbrake cable back on. So when you fit your handbrake, you've got to make sure your handbrake, there's a little groove in here. You can see there's a little bracket just up underneath there. You just got to make sure that the line's going straight through that bracket. So it's got like a stopper there and 2 tabs there which hold it in place. So now that we've got that in place, so the next spring you want to put on is your adjuster spring. So this here has to go into the back of the pad, then it sits up at the top. So you can use a screwdriver on this one if you want. You've just got to lift it up into this groove here. So it's a bit hard for me to do this with the camera in place, so I'll show you there. So you'll drop that into that tab there, and that's sitting in there where it's supposed to sit. Okay, the next thing we're going to chuck on, we're going to throw on our bottom spring. Our bottom spring's got to sit in behind there, so you've got to clip that one in. It's got to go underneath. So it's got to go underneath that tab. It doesn't matter if you put it on the outside, you can just click it across. So grab onto the spring, pull it against the pad, wait till it clips in, and that's that one in. So I'll show you a little bit closer, just the way that one sits. So it sits, it's got to go down, it's got to go underneath this tab, and then just on the front. So it's got to clip over the front like that. And then the last 2 jobs we've got to do to hold the pads in is our pins. Now this is a little bit hard to do, I found, with the way these are designed. You might have to get a friend just to hold them for you, just because it kind of, to push this tab down so that in comes a 3rd hand. I'm on my own, just to let you know. So then push that in, push it down. Once you get it underneath, that's it. And once you've got them on, spin them around so they sit like that, and then there's no real chance for it to pop out. So we'll do the same on the other side. The other side we took the pin out, so you just push the pin in straight from the back. I'll use my 3rd arm. It's my Pantera reference for today. Push this down. And then once that's on, you should just push them up. You gotta make sure you feel that they actually clip in too, and then just turn it that way, so it's towards the shoe. Alright, so that's our shoe install done. So next job we have to do is just adjust the brakes. So if you look straight through in here, the camera's going to probably find it hard to see, but we'll come around the back here. There's a rubber grommet here up the top. You want to pull that rubber grommet out. There's a little rubber grommet there, so you can see, and if you can see my finger in through the back there. That's where we've got to adjust the brakes from. So before you put your drum back on, what you want to do is just make sure you start winding it the way it's got to go. So you know this one's got to be wound downwards. So when you put your screwdriver in over the back here, so I'll show you how it looks. So you can, hopefully you can see my screwdriver's pushing in from the back there. So you can just see that's how it's going to wind out. So what you're doing is you're winding this outwards, so that's pushing out towards the actual shoe. So what we'll do, you've got to put your drum back on, and then we'll wind that out till the drum locks up. Okay, throw our drum back on. The drum doesn't have to go back on any particular way, just put it on, push it in nice and firm, make sure it rotates nice and freely. Now the next step is adjusting that screw. This is going to be very boring to probably film, but so what you need to do is get the screwdriver in the back here, and then just start winding up that adjuster. So it takes a little bit. You've got to make sure your flat blade's flat as it goes in, and then it just takes a little bit of feeling. You'll start to feel it move, and you basically got to wind it. So you can hear the spring clicking away. That means you're on it. Once you can hear that spring going, you got to wind this up until you can't wind it anymore, and then we back it off about probably 3 or 4 turns, and then check your handbrake adjustment, and make sure that the hub spins freely. You'll feel it getting tighter and tighter as you go. It'll get harder and harder to turn. Look at this interior. Could have cleaned it. Come inside, grab your handbrake, make sure it's got the normal, probably about 6 to 8 clicks. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's pretty much locked on. So that's good. So we can throw our wheel back on, and that's pretty much job done. So I won't show the other side. They're both exactly the same to do. So when you do the one side, just reverse exactly. It looks exactly the same. Both sides are the same. The adjustment's the same. It's just a matter of making a 10-minute video or making a 20-minute video showing both sides of it. So I'll throw the wheel back on now, and we'll take the car for a drive. Make sure it stops okay. Obviously check the handbrake adjustment. Make sure the handbrake feels fine when it's on a slope as well. And yeah, we'll go from there. So make sure you don't forget to put your little rubber back in the back of the drum. I'll feel around where the hole is. It's in there somewhere. Sometimes you just got to force it in a bit. Okay, that one's in. Now I'll throw the wheel back on and we'll go for a drive. I'm not going to show you putting the wheel on. You know how to do that. If you're doing this job, I assume you know how to put wheels on. So yeah, I hope that helps you do the brakes. It's not as easy as doing front pads, but you don't have to do these as often too. That's it. That's the other advantage with drum brakes. So let's get that wheel on. Okay, so that's job done. Like I said, just check your handbrake, make sure your handbrake feels fine, take the thing for a drive, just make sure everything feels the same, like your brake pedal and all that sort of stuff. Obviously your brake pedal will feel a little bit firmer than if your pads were quite worn out. Yeah, and that's it, man. So thanks heaps for watching. I hope this helps you do your brakes yourself, save you a bit of money. These were just Bendix brakes that we used on this. I think they were 80 bucks or something like that from Super Cheap Auto. They're pretty cheap, easy to do. So yeah, thanks heaps for watching. If the video helps you, can you give us a thumbs up? Subscribe to the channel if you can. Even if you don't watch my other videos, it just sort of helps build the channel. All my subscribers are all genuine subscribers. I don't pay for subscribers or anything like that on the channel. I just let the channel build and go the way it wants to go, sort of thing. And I think the service videos and the how-to videos are sort of the way to go with it all. So there'll be a few more other stuff coming up lately. I'll do a few more other things on the Colt, and yeah, try and get a few more other cars up for services and stuff like that. So anyway, thanks heaps for watching. See you next time. See ya.